Okay, so we have been living in Davis for almost 4.5 years now, right? Yeah. And we've had a lot of different experiences. We've lived a couple of places. I've only lived 2 places, but you've kind of lived a few different places.
Yes, I've kind of lived in a few different places.
Each year of living in Davis has been different, and we thought it would be an interesting video to kind of go back and reflect on differences that we've had over the different years we've lived here, starting of course with our first year where we met, living on campus.
We lived in Tercera, one of the residence halls. It had a shared kitchen and communal bathrooms. I never experienced any type of like wait time for like a shower or a toilet. And if you did, I guess you could just like walk 20 feet in any direction and find another bathroom. I had 2 roommates.
So I only had 1 roommate, and there were multiple bathrooms on the floor. And there was also 1 additional bathroom on the first floor that was like a private bathroom kind of situation. Shared kitchen, that was interesting. We used the kitchen almost every weekend, and I used it really a lot, like multiple times in a week. I think the biggest thing to know about like sharing a kitchen with a whole building was that people were not very good about throwing away their food once it went bad. So just kind of tossed the food that was going bad. But other than that, you know, we cooked a lot in there, baked a lot. People would also use our stuff though sometimes, that kind of...
But we did leave it in the communal space.
Yeah, we did leave it in the communal kitchen.
With the food part, we got all of our food from Trader Joe's because of course we didn't have a car, and Trader Joe's was just a bike ride away because we shopped there a lot our first year.
But you can also shop at the markets, which are located within each of the residence hall areas. So living on campus, you've got the markets, which is nice, and you have this thing called Aggie Cash if you live on campus that you can spend money there. So I spent most of my Aggie Cash on mochi ice cream and on milk to make chai tea in the residence hall kitchens.
You can spend it at the food trucks, and it's more bang.
Yeah, so you could spend your Aggie Cash at the food trucks. Or now you can spend it at a few different places on campus as well. Smokes and the Pete's Coffees on campus you can also spend it at, so. Oh, well now you can also spend it at Latitude Market, which is totally worth it.
Yes.
So lots of options for Aggie Cash, but food, other than that, I mean, food is right where you live because there's the dining commons. And that's just, you know, you get a meal plan, you have swipes, you swipe in, you eat what you want. What was your favorite, like, DC food?
My favorite? I don't know if I had a favorite, but I definitely appreciated the DC because of its like wide variety of food. And I know a lot of people are like, bleh, DC food. But like, growing up, my mom made Americanized Pinterest food, and I'm half Hispanic, half Asian, and I mean, I love her, but like, it just was not the best. So it's just nice to try a lot of different things because I was pretty limited in what I ate growing up. So it was always good. And even better was that fact that like, you didn't have to commit to grabbing a whole plate. You could just like sample it because they would have like little sampler spoons, and if they didn't, you could just ask. That way you don't have to commit to like a whole meal.
Yeah, no, the DC was awesome. I mean, I don't know, being able to just kind of go when you needed to go eat was really nice. Really wide variety of food, and it changed often enough that you didn't really ever get bored of like what was there. And then now there's Latitude, which just opens everything up to even more options of food. When you are bored of the DC, you can go to Latitude, and Latitude is this like international eatery. It's very authentic made food, but it's really good. One of my favorite dishes was, I think it was called like $10,000 chicken.
Yes.
I love that dish. It's so good. I would just go back for that like seconds over and over.
Back to the physical location of the residence hall itself. It was really nice because there were a lot of like lounges. There was a lounge on like each floor that people normally like studied in, and then there was also one big lounge on the first floor that was like huge. So it was just nice to have like a wide variety of spaces so that you can like change up your settings.
There was also like these, we called them social lounges.
Oh yes.
Because they had like couches in there, and I know people would like have game nights in there or like paint nights in there. And then the first floor one had a TV, so you know, people would watch different, like maybe there was a big game on. I remember on election night that was on, so definitely handy. Spent a lot of late nights studying and just working on videos even in there just to switch it up. Also, if you want to stay up late and your roommate wants to go to sleep, it's a good place to go work. So another great thing when you are in the residence halls, and I'm hoping this comes back next year, which is that you as a first year get to participate in Intermural Sports for free, which is awesome. And I know I didn't do any Intermural Sports my freshman year. I ended up doing it every year after that. I did a poker tournament, I played soccer, but you can also participate with your floor, and it's a cool way to bond unless your floor doesn't show up.
Yeah, I tried to sign up for like IM volleyball, and of course like it's really dependent on if you're actually gonna have people show up, but like no one on my team showed up, which was fine because sometimes there's like also other people that don't show up, so then you can just try to make a game. And you don't have to join IM Sports through like your floor.
Yeah.
If that ends up happening to you, I'm sure you could find like another team to play on.
And if you don't know anyone, you can join a free agent team, and just a bunch of random people that don't know people create a team together, and usually after that someone will create a team around that free agent team. So I did that because I don't know people.
Yep.
Speaking about kind of who is in charge of your floor, so when we were students there was these people called CAs, they're called community advisors. They're the people that they're older than you, they've lived there before, and they know the ins and outs of dealing with living in the residence halls and dealing with roommate conflicts. The CAs, they mostly are there to kind of facilitate different events for your floor. Mine was super chill. He checked up on us every once in a while, hosted events. I never really got in trouble. I mean, the biggest benefit to living on campus, I mean, is you're close to everything.
Yes. There's also like a certain vibe that's only replicated within, I think, the residence halls. It's just like being able to walk through like the hallway, and then like sometimes people have their doors open, and if you're social you can go and say hi. Alex and I were a bit more on the quiet side, so we didn't do that, but there's like just that like experience of like going to the DC with your friends or like your floor mates and just like all eating together that isn't really found, I think, outside of like residence hall living, especially if you choose to live with only like 1 or 2 people your next year in an apartment or townhouse.
I mean, being able to just like get up and like, oh wow, I have 5 minutes to my next class, I can bike there and I'm not worried about being late. Everyone around you is kind of also just learning to experience living not at home and being in college, and I don't know, it's an instant community of like 900 people or something crazy, right? Not only are you in easy access to campus, there are some like options to like get out of campus. You're centrally located in the residence halls, so downtown Davis is just a bike ride away really. Unitrans, which is the bus system, is super easy to access, and you can go to downtown that way too, or explore the rest of Davis.
I think there's also like YOLO bus, which will take you around Yolo County and or just to SAC. And that one I think is also free for students. If you want to go even further than that, you can rent a zip car, which Alex did frequently. There were a few times when we went into like SAC or the Bay Area for like concerts, things like that. And then sometimes we would just like, if we didn't want to take bikes into downtown, even though it's super close, but like maybe we have nicer outfits on, we would just take Lyft.
Or if it's like raining, because it does that here.
Yes.
Or maybe it's super windy for whatever reason. Yeah, Lyft or zip car were pretty good options. Zipcar is like a car sharing thing, so you buy a subscription as a student, it's like $5 a year or something, and then you pay for per hour for each time you use a Zipcar. If you want to go to UC Berkeley or Berkeley, there's a shuttle that goes between UC Davis and UC Berkeley. I want to say it was like 10 or 12 bucks. And that was something I did a lot. One of my best friends, RJ, was going to school at Berkeley, and so I went to go see him. It was also really nice though, because from UC Berkeley, you can access BART, which is the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, and from there you can go to San Francisco or Oakland or almost anywhere in the Bay Area. So that was a really good way to go.
Excluding San Jose.
You can get as far as Fremont. As far as Fremont.
There's also another thing you can do to get into the Bay Area, which is the Facebook rideshare page. Basically, people like go home on the weekends and stuff, or like just go into the Bay Area and you can just like hitch a ride with them. That was pretty convenient. I know for my roommate who went home I think every other weekend, I didn't start using it until sophomore year, mainly because I was scared being in cars with other people. So I mainly took the train, but both are good experiences.
Yeah, and that one's about $5 to $10 depending on how far you're going. You can even find people that are going all the way to LA and SoCal. And again, it might be a little different nowadays because of COVID, but just get tested maybe is what I would suggest before you jump in a car with a stranger.
And that concludes
most of your first year living and what it's like. So with your second year, you are most likely moving off campus, except, well, for us, we had to move off campus. There was no second year housing. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually move onto campus, and you could move to the Green at West Village, which is student housing's new on-campus apartments for students, specifically for transfers, but also now for second year students. So it's located over in the West Village district of campus, which is less than like a mile away from core campus. And Catherine and I have actually both been able to go see the actual apartments, what they look like. And they're actually quite spacious. They have really nice kitchens. I'm definitely envious of the kitchens. So you can always check out that. But if you do decide not to live on campus and you want to live off campus, so you have to go apartment hunting. There's a whole video about that over there, I guess you can look. But that was a whole situation. Do you remember apartment hunting?
I remember that UC Davis hosts like a off-campus housing workshop seminar thing, which I think was kind of helpful. I think the biggest thing for me was finding people to live with. My roommate had friends, so she had like 3 separate friends, and then she brought us all together, and that was how I got housemates.
God, yeah, no. So my roommate and I decided we'd live together again. So apartment hunting, you want to start actually doing like winter quarter of your freshman year, because you have to sign a lease and all this wonderful stuff. So we found an apartment, which is where I've now lived for now 3.5 years. And once you find a place, kind of your second year is very different from your first year, because you are no longer under, unless you live on campus, you're no longer under any kind of like guidance or care of anyone. You're on your own. So adjusting to an apartment, depending if you have a furnished apartment or unfurnished, you are either going to be moving into just a blank like space, or you might already have furniture. But I moved into a place that didn't have any furniture. So, you know, we had to go out and get like bed frames, tables, chairs, couches.
Utensils.
Yeah, utensils, you know. So you have to go out and go shopping. And again, one of the great places you can look is the Facebook free and for sale page, because people are selling things for very cheap or for free. So that would be my suggestion if you are like, oh my God, I have to get all that.
Okay, once you get all your stuff inside your apartment, there is the matter of like adjusting to apartment life itself. What is that like? You have to clean your own stuff now. I mean, you did in the dorms, but like that's a tiny ass space, so you're in charge of cleaning if you want to. The kitchen, bathrooms, living room. Yeah, the bathroom is probably the most important.
Not only are you going to have to start cleaning, you're going to have to start cooking for yourself. I mean, I started stocking out my kitchen pretty extensively with ingredients and with spices, and that's just because I really started to enjoy cooking. But of course, you can go very basic with ramen and cereal and pastas and whatever, rice. I mean, that is something you have to start to learn to do. Try not to burn down your kitchen. Not set off your smoke detector every like 10 minutes. I think that part was fun, but again, instead of paying for a meal plan on campus, now you're paying for groceries. So there's a few different things there. Also, if you have financial aid, which I did, it changes how your financial aid works because you're not on campus anymore, you're off campus. So that was something that I like didn't really realize was going to happen. So you just adjust.
Also, we still didn't have a car. So most of our groceries were still coming from Trader Joe's because that was most convenient. If we wanted to, we could have taken one of the Unitrans buses up north because there is Safe Mart and Safeway up there, and it would have been pretty easy to come back down with the groceries just on the bus.
Ended up taking Zipcar to go get grocery shopping sometimes.
That's what he says. I don't remember.
The other thing was my housemate had a car, so sometimes when he went grocery shopping, I'd ask him to pick up stuff when he went, if it was like from Safeway. That way, we didn't have to do an extra trip or something. Where our apartment was located was really close to campus still. Technically, it's right next to Quarto Residence Hall, and that is all really close to Trader Joe's. So our move off campus was not very like drastic. However, there are a lot of different apartment complexes in Davis, and you could end up very far away from campus. So just know that like all of a sudden you have to commute to campus. For me, it was very quick, but for other people, I mean, it meant taking a bus or a longer bike ride.
So with an apartment, as opposed to like the dorms, you have communal spaces still, but like it's just between you and your housemate, so less people using it. It's quite nice to have that, I think.
Yeah.
We also have a larger fridge. Yeah, so we had mini fridges in our personal like dorm room, but I know sometimes we also store things in the big communal kitchen fridge. You can deal with less people's other stuff in the fridges, depending on how many people you have in your apartment.
Yeah, so we only had 2 people. So our fridge was relatively accessible.
Also, because we're still close to campus and basically the core of Davis, which is downtown. We started exploring a lot more of the town, so occasionally going to like coffee shops like Mishka's.
We definitely did start to try a lot of the different restaurants in Davis and kind of figured out some of our favorites. Not only did we get to explore more of downtown Davis, but we started to explore a little bit more of campus, because unlike in the residence halls where you do have like the different study spaces that are accessible to you, you kind of only have like 2 spaces, depending on your apartment of course, but you have like your bedroom or you have like the living room, pseudo dining room area. So finding different spots to study and do work at became more relevant.
I didn't really do that. Most of my classes were pretty spaced out, so I would just like go to my class and then bike back, because it was only like 5 or 10 minutes of a bike ride because I'm a slow biker.
Yeah, and I started working on campus, so I would do a lot of my work in my offices and just kind of stay there. But, you know, people went to the library or people would go to the MU.
We did go to Silo a lot. That was definitely a big place that we went our first and second year. I think we went there a lot before or after our chemistry labs.
Yeah.
Because we like to get crepes.
And then we would do some work there too.
I don't remember doing that. I just remember eating crepes.
I guess the one thing that became more of a trend living off campus was because off campus, even for us being so close to campus, I don't know, it felt a little further. And so getting to your classes, like actually showing up to them, definitely took a bit of a hit.
Mainly our morning ones.
And now, especially with stuff being online, and I'm sure things will still be a bit online, just know that during your second year.
It's the 8 a.m. classes.
Yeah, those are brutal. Brutal.
Yep. Because you're living off of campus, you have a bit more range of pet selection versus in the dorms. In the dorms, I think you can have like a fish.
This is true.
Yeah. So it wasn't until the very end of our second year living in the apartment that we decided to get 2 pets, Sashi and Coco. So that was really nice. They are kind of expensive, not just in terms of like general pet stuff like food and litter, but generally you will have to pay some type of greater fee to your apartment complex because of like a pet deposit or like a monthly pet fee. We have
pet rent, yeah.
Yeah, pet rent.
Okay, so this is the end of part 1 of a part 2 series. We didn't realize that this video was going to be as long as it was, and so it's split into 2 videos for easy viewing, I guess. Of course, if you like this video, feel free to hit the like button and comment any questions you have about living during your first 2 years. And we'll see you on the 3rd and 4th year video, which will be right here, covering her face, or my face, I don't know.
Bye-bye.